Let's see if we can remember how to say to be tired. To be tired. Estar cansado. Estar cansado. If we want to say to be fed up, the word for fed up is harto, harto. And then we say estar harto, to be fed up. And if it's referring to feminine, estar harta. So a girl would say estoy harta, I'm fed up. And harto is spelt H-A-R-T-O. H-A-R-T-O. Harto, harto. Estar harto. How would you say I'm tired and fed up? Estoy cansado y harto. Estoy cansado y harto. How about she's fed up with the situation? She's fed up with the situation. And remember that it has to agree. Está harta con la situación. Está harta con la situación. What about he's fed up, but there's not much he can do? He's fed up, but there's not much he can do, or there isn't much he can do. Está harto, pero no hay mucho que puede hacer. Está harto, pero no hay mucho que puede hacer. So no hay, there isn't. No hay mucho, there isn't much. Que, that. Puede, he can. Hacer, to do. Está harto, pero no hay mucho que puede hacer. What about I'm fed up of waiting? I'm fed up of waiting. And just remember, after a word like of, in English we call a word like of a preposition. These are words like of, with, etc. Without, to. After a preposition in Spanish, it's always the infinitive. So de, and then whatever the infinitive is, de ir, of going. In English, the rule is it's always ing after a preposition. So fed up of doing something. But in Spanish, after a preposition, it's always the infinitive. So back to our sentence. I'm fed up of waiting. Estoy harto de esperar. Estoy harto de esperar. What about we're fed up of giving you money? We're fed up of giving you money. Estamos hartos de darte dinero. Estamos hartos de darte dinero. And of course, hartos because it's we, it's plural. Estamos hartos de darte, of to give you, of giving you money, dinero. If we want to say after something, so for example, I can see you after dinner. I can do it after work, for example. To say that after, we say después de. Después de. So we have to have the de in there when it's after something. So después de la cena is after dinner. Después de la comida is after lunch. So después is spelt D-E-S P-U-E with an accent S and then de. Después de. Después de algo. After something. How would you say I can come after my lesson? I can come after my lesson. And lesson is lección. Lección. L-E-C-C-I-O with an accent N. Lección. So how would you say I can come after my lesson? Puedo venir después de mi lección. Puedo venir después de mi lección. What about I can see you after the meeting? I can see you after the meeting. And the meeting, they use the word reunion for meeting. So, la reunión. La reunión, spelt the same as in English, but with an accent on the O. La reunión, the meeting. So, I can see you after the meeting. Puedo verte después de la reunión. Puedo verte después de la reunión. What about I bought it after seeing an advert? I bought it after seeing an advert. And remember what we said last time about after a preposition. In English, it's ing after seeing, but in Spanish, that will be the infinitive, to see. So I bought it after seeing an advert, and the word for advert is un anuncio. Un anuncio. Think of an announcement. Un anuncio. A-N-U-N-C-I-O. Un anuncio. So I bought it after seeing an advert. Lo compré después de ver un anuncio. Lo compré después de ver un anuncio. So después de, after. If we want to say before, it's the same kind of structure, and it's antes. Antes de. Antes de. A-N-T-E-S, and then de. Antes de algo, before something. Before buying. Antes de comprar. Before dinner. antes de la cena? How would you say, I need to finish before lunch? I need to finish before lunch. And a reminder that lunch, or the lunch, is la comida. La comida. And incidentally, that also means food. The lunch. La comida. So I need to finish before lunch. Necesito terminar antes de la comida. Necesito terminar antes de la comida. What about I finished before dinner? Terminé antes de la cena. Terminé antes de la cena. What about this one? Why don't you come before breakfast? Why don't you come before breakfast? And breakfast is el desayuno. El desayuno. So before breakfast would be antes de el desayuno. But in Spanish, when you have de and el together, de and el together, they squash up to become del. Del. D-E-L. Del. So we would say antes del desayuno. Antes del desayuno. So the sentence is, why don't you come before breakfast? ¿Por qué no vienes? ¿Por qué no vienes antes del desayuno? ¿Por qué no vienes antes del desayuno? How would you say after breakfast? After breakfast. Después del desayuno. Después del desayuno. So antes del desayuno and después del desayuno. The aba and ia tense, hablaba, vivía, that tense that we use to say what used to be happening, to what used to happen, that's called the imperfect tense. The imperfect tense. Antes vivía en España. I used to live in Spain before. I used to live in Spain. Aba and ia. The imperfect. That's also used to say or to describe something, what something was like. It's the idea that it's something that was enduring, something that went on for a while. So, for example, if you say that the house was white, that can't be seen as a single event. That's almost got the same idea as used to. It's something that went on over time. It wasn't an event. So when we say what something was like, what it looked like, describing its characteristics, here we use era, era. And that is the imperfect version of it was. It was. So it comes from the verb ser, Era means it was, but in the imperfect tense. So it's used to describe what something was like, what characteristics it had. So the house was white. La casa era blanca. La casa era blanca. The house was white. How would you say the house was big? La casa era grande. La casa era grande. What about the man was tall? The man was tall. And a reminder of tall is alto. El hombre era alto. El hombre era alto. What about the woman was very pretty? La mujer era muy guapa. La mujer era muy guapa. What do you think the plural of era would be? How do we say they were in the sense of describing what something was like? Eran. Eran with an N. That key letter that always appears in the plural, the they version of verbs. So eran, they were. How do you say the cars were fast? The cars were fast. And remember the agreement. Los coches eran rápidos. Los coches eran rápidos. How would we say the houses were red? The houses were red. And the word for red, rojo, R-O-J-O, so the houses were red. Las casas eran rojas. Las casas eran rojas. So saying what a house was like, if we're saying what a house had, the same thing applies. We have to use the imperfect because we can't say what it had as though it's a single event, that in one instant it had this thing. We're talking almost in terms of what it used to have, but the idea of it being something enduring, something that went on. So again, it has to be the imperfect. And tener is to have. So the imperfect for he had, or she had, or it had would be tenía. Tenía. So if we're saying, talking about the house had 3 bedrooms, what would that be? La casa tenía 3 habitaciones. La casa tenía 3 habitaciones. What about the house had a big garden? The house had a big garden. La casa tenía un jardín grande. La casa tenía un jardín grande. So, describing what something had, or someone. La casa tenía un jardín grande. La casa tenía un jardín grande. La casa tenía un jardín grande. So, describing what something had, or someone. La casa tenía un jardín grande. La casa tenía un jardín grande. So, describing what something had, or someone. La casa tenía un jardín grande. La casa tenía un jardín grande. can you remember how to say he or she in the present? He or she has blonde hair. Tiene el pelo rubio. Tiene el pelo rubio. Now, if we want to say she had blonde hair, so the person I saw yesterday had blonde hair, the same applies as if we're describing a house or something else in the past, talking about its characteristic. We would have to say tenía. So she had blonde hair. Tenía el pelo rubio. Tenía el pelo rubio. Or, of course, that would also be he had blonde hair. How would you say he had blue eyes? He had blue eyes. Tenía los ojos azules. Tenía los ojos azules. What about the person that I saw yesterday had blonde hair and brown eyes? The person that I saw yesterday had blonde hair and brown eyes. And the person is la persona. La persona. La persona que vi